Braining Camp is an online tool with manipulatives and lessons. One of the free lessons for iPad apps is fractions. So it has an area for comparing fractions, adding, subtracting, common denominators, or equivalent fractions. So equivalent fractions is what I'm going to look at today. They've got lessons, manipulatives, questions for practice, and challenge activities. So I'm going to show you the lessons. Now I'm not having this speak to you right now, but the lessons actually talk to you, so it creates a good blended learning environment. You can skip through the lessons, so it talks to you about all of these different points and breaks down equivalent fractions. Now I'm skipping through to show you a couple really cool aspects of the lessons that I haven't seen anywhere else. So here you've got your 2/3 and you're trying to find, well, 4/6 is in equivalent fractions, but it wants you to find others. So you can manipulate this by moving this bar up to increase your number of pieces, and then you increase your shading to match. So that goes up, and you can check that and it is correct, so it adds over here. So you can go through and add all of the equivalent fractions that you can find. Now you could see that this one is not quite enough and that's too much. So you would adjust further and say, okay, now let's check that one. Hey, 8/12 is equivalent to 2/3. You could do this for all the ones there. It also talks to you about the multiplier. So it shows you that, but then it gives you practice with the multiplier. So talking about it some more detail, giving you practice. So it shows the multiplier here to get from 2/3 to 4/6, but it lets you change that. So I can increase the multiplier on the top, and now I see that the multipliers are different. And here my fraction bar doesn't match. So I have to show those the same. And you can keep going up and say, oh, now they're different again, multipliers, so again my fractions aren't equivalent. This really gives a good example of how you need to multiply by the same thing on the top and the bottom. You get practice with this and looking at, okay, 4 times what gives you 25, and you need to do that on the top as well. And you can also look at division and how you need to look at 10/12 and say, hey, there's an equivalent fraction that has a smaller denominator. So practice with that. But then it also shows, hey, if I've got 5/6, can I split that up anymore? Well, 5 is a prime number, so when you divide by 2, you get a decimal, and fractions cannot have decimals, so it makes that point very clear. This lesson continues on, but another thing that you have here is practice, where you get to say, okay, fraction equivalent to 4/5, and let's see, if I said 4/8 and then I submitted it, it would say that I got that wrong. So now from the teacher perspective, it does say the amount of time a student spent on this, so you can watch and see if they skipped through the lessons or actually did it all, and you can also see how they did on these questions. So this is one of the free iPad apps. It's also available for Chromebooks, iPads, PCs, and Mac computers. Now it's not free on all of those, but it is free on the iPad. So this is just one of the Braining Camp subjects.